Hello friends, welcome to our lesson today on the West. Yesterday we learned all about the products and the natural resources from the West. We learned that the Pacific Ocean is one of the main resources because of the fishing that comes out of it, and the ports where the ships are able to come in and out with cargo from other countries. We also talked about the oil, the Trans-Alaskan Oil Pipeline, and how it brings the oil down into Alaska for then tanker trucks to take the oil to refineries. We discussed the minerals such as copper and silver and gold that are used, the lumber that is used to make products such as wood. We learned that there is potatoes from Idaho. And in the valleys in California, it's America's fruit and vegetable bowl because of all of those fruits and vegetables that are grown there. In addition, that Hawaii provides us with that sugar cane and macadamia nuts and coffee. So lots of things are coming from our West region. Today, we're going to talk about the landmarks and the culture of the West. So make sure you have your reading packet open to the West landmarks and culture, and we will get started. Two true and false statements we're going to be able to answer after is 1, the Golden Gate Bridge got its name because it's painted gold. And 2, rock climbers can climb up the core of an ancient volcano in the West region. So we're going to talk about the Golden Gate Bridge and ancient volcanoes and rock climbers. All right, let's get started. Landmarks. The West region's natural features have been popular with travelers. Some of the most beautiful national parks are located in this region. The United States Congress established Yellowstone National Park in 1872 as the world's first national park. Yellowstone National Park covers 3,472 square miles. That's bigger than the states of Delaware and Rhode Island combined. There is an active volcano in the park. There's also about 2,000 earthquakes there every year. The park has more than 300 geysers. A geyser is a type of hot spring that shoots boiling hot water and steam into the air. Old Faithful is one of the most well-known geysers. The name Old Faithful was chosen because the geyser is predictable, meaning that you can always see it at the same time. It erupts about every 91 minutes. Each eruption lasts from 1.5 to 5 minutes. Today, up to 4 million people come to visit Yellowstone National Park. And over here is a picture of Old Faithful, the geyser. So hot water is underneath and it shoots that steam high up into the air. And all these little teeny tiny dots back here are people that are observing it. So just think about how high it is shooting that hot, steamy water. Here is the next thing. Rising 1,267 feet above the surrounding ground, Devil's Tower was designated America's first national monument in 1906. The site is considered sacred to the Lakota and other tribes in the area. Devil's Tower is the core of a volcano exposed by erosion. So the core means the center, like think of a core of an apple. So this would be where the magma or the center of the volcano would have been, and then the volcano would have come out. But erosion over time has taken away the outer layer. The magma from the inside cooled and crystallized into hexagonal columns separated by vertical cracks. The parallel cracks make it a popular place for rock climbers. Hint, hint. So can rock climbers climb a core of a volcano? Yes, they can climb Devil's Tower. Here is the Golden Gate Bridge. When the Golden Gate Bridge was completed in 1937, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. So suspension means that it's being hung. So that's what this is. These lines are helping to hang the bridge. The bridge is almost 9,000 feet long and has two beautiful towers that are 820 feet tall, and that's what these are. While most bridges are painted steel gray to protect them from corrosion, the Golden Gate Bridge is painted international orange to help it blend in with the red-orange tones of the rocks and hills around San Francisco Bay. So is it painted gold? Nope. It's painted with red-orange tones to blend in. Tourists visit Alaska and Hawaii each year. People travel to Alaska to see its beautiful glaciers, and we talked about glaciers. Cruise ships sail the waterways of Alaska to allow people to see the glaciers up close. And here are a picture of the glaciers. Visitors to Hawaii go for its tropical weather and landscape. The warm weather year-round makes its beaches the place to visit. People also visit the volcanoes of Hawaii. Another thing is mining towns. Many mining towns in the West started in out-of-the-way places where gold and silver deposits were found. So people would go to find the gold and silver, and they would build a town there as they were searching. These towns grew quickly as thousands of prospectors and merchants moved to those places. However, when the gold or silver ran out, the towns were abandoned or left. The miners would move on to new strikes and new claims of riches. Other citizens left too. Without the money from the miners, many of the businesses closed. And soon all that remained of the town were the deserted buildings and vacant lots. Many of these ghost towns, as we call them, are still standing today. People come to visit ghost towns to see what life was like during the gold rush. And here is a picture of a building still standing that was built during the gold rush, and people can come and see what it was like. Disneyland is in Southern California. It is part of a giant entertainment industry. This industry began making movies. America's first movies were made in the Northeast. The movie makers, though, needed sunny days to be outside, which doesn't happen in the Northeast. The Northeast, as we know, is often cloudy and rainy. A few movie makers found the sunshine they needed in Southern California. Los Angeles, the second largest city in the nation, second largest, remember first was New York, is now the home of Hollywood movie industry. The movie industry soon attracted a man named Walt Disney. Disney arrived in Southern California in 1923 with one big goal. He wanted to make people happy. Disney's cartoons delighted kids of all ages. So did his movies, television shows, and the Magic Kingdom of Disneyland. Disneyland opened in 1955. This year, as many as 14 million people will visit the park. So here is Disneyland. Now here in Florida, we have Disney World. All right, let's talk about the culture. What kinds of things are we going to be able to learn about the people there? First statement is the luau is a traditional dance from Hawaii. And then the next statement is snowboarding and skateboarding were both developed in the West region. So let's see what we can learn. First, let's talk about the food. The coastal waters of the Pacific Ocean provide an abundant seafood. Salmon is often baked on a board of cedar wood. Oysters are served barbecued, baked, fried, or raw on the shell. One popular dish is ciapiano, a stew made with a mixture of different kinds of fish and shellfish. And that's what this is here. Because of the many Chinese and Japanese immigrants in the region, Asian foods are very popular in the West. Chinese railroad workers in the 1800s introduced Americans to egg foo young, which is chow mein, and sushi. The California roll, a type of sushi made with avocado, rice, and seaweed, was actually invented in Los Angeles. The favorite local food of the Hawaiian Islands is seimin, a kind of ramen noodle soup, and this is a picture of it. Eaten at any time of day, you can find this soup at snack bars, coffee shops, and even at McDonald's in Hawaii. At luau's, people often eat kalua pig, which is a whole pig, often with an apple in its mouth. It's covered with banana leaves and cooked in a big fire pit in the sand. The native people of Alaska have an unusual version of ice cream. It's a concoction made with reindeer fat, seal oil, freshly fallen snow, fresh berries, and sometimes ground fish. Air is whipped in by hand so that it slowly cools into a foam. Women traditionally made Eskimo ice cream called akotag after the first catch of a polar bear or seal for funerals or almost any other celebration. Today, Eskimo ice cream is usually made with Crisco shortening instead of reindeer fat. I don't know if I would try that. What about the fun? Well, the Pacific Coast and Hawaii are known for surfing. Every morning before sunrise, dedicated surfers head for the beach. In the 1970s, a group of teenagers in California combined their surfing skills with skateboards to create the skateboarding we know today with tricks, jumps, and ramps. That's where skateboarding came from. In warm weather, people enjoy hiking on mountain trails or even through the rainforest, mountain climbing, and kayaking. Many people travel to the West Coast in the spring to watch for gray whales migrating in the Pacific Ocean. In the winter, snow sports are popular. Snowboarding was invented in Baker, Washington, which has the highest annual snowfall of any ski area in the world. People also enjoy snow skiing and snowshoeing. So there was a lot of information about snowboarding and winter sports. Hint. Dog sled racing is a favorite sport in Alaska. The Iditarod, the most famous race, begins in Anchorage, Alaska, and ends 1,150 miles later in Nome, Alaska. A few teams of dogs and their mushers, or drivers, have covered that distance in an amazing 9 days. Can you imagine? This is all you have for 9 days traveling out there for 1,150 miles. No wonder this event is called the last great race on Earth. The native people of Hawaii developed a dance form known as the hula. You might have seen this before. Often performed at parties called luau's. There's your luau's. A hula is traditionally accompanied by a chant called a meal. Instruments such as the ukulele and the ipo, which is like a drum, also accompany the dance. Both men and women wear leis, which are flower or leafy wreaths around their heads, ankles, wrists, and necks. Originally, the hula was performed to honor the ancient Hawaiian gods or a particularly powerful chief. It remains an important part of Hawaiian culture. Wow, we have sure learned a lot about the West region and its diverse landmarks and culture. I can't wait to see where we travel to next.